All right, everybody. Today I am with Leslie and Erica here in my studio podcast. And they gave me a challenge, which I thought was very funny, but I'm going to take it on. And they made a good point. No one has ever heard about my story or heard about me in my own podcast. And they said that they want to do that. Those two right here, want to interview me. So I think that's a cool thing. It's a cool idea. As long as you promise the next time we're interviewing you guys.
Deal.
Yep. Awesome. All right. So I'm on the spot. You guys can ask me any questions you want. But why did you come? We've been excellent friends for the last 24 hours. That's been a great relationship.
That's right.
And so why did you come?
Well, you struck me as a very caring individual and with a great heart. And those kinds of people draw me to them. And you approached me and wanted to know more about me because of the story my friend and I were talking about yesterday. So I'm here with Anderson Francisco. He is a musician and founder of Anderson Builders and here in Salt Lake City. And I'm so excited to know more about you and get to know some of your background and what made you the person that you are today. Because you are an incredible person. We're all on a journey in life to become more incredible as the days pass, right? Always progressing, always building, always growing. It's just very uncommon to see someone come from the foundation of poverty to where you are now. And so I would just like to know more about where you came from and how it felt growing up as you were and some of the reasons that drive you today. So tell me about your family and growing up as a small child.
So I think my main drive is, my mission is to eradicate poverty. And,
Wonderful.
And there are two types of poverty, financial and mental. My number one is mental. Mental poverty was definitely the biggest struggle that we as a family we had. And the reason why we decided to start recording is because off cameras, I was telling you my story, and we agreed that this needs to be on camera. More people need to hear about this.
Yes.
Because Leslie, for instance, Leslie was identifying very well with what I was saying, right?
Yes.
And what I was saying is that growing up, my parents and I, we had no money. And the reason why we didn't have every good thing was money. I remember asking my parents growing up, why can't we buy more yogurt? Why do we only have to buy one little bottle for each of the four of us for the entire month? And the answer was, because we have no money.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we eat a better pizza? Why can't we eat hamburger? Because we have no money. Right. We used to go downtown in my city to buy shoes, and we would walk for blocks, entering several stores looking for one thing, the cheapest shoes we could find, because my mom was barely able to afford them. And normally, shoes in Brazil, no matter how crappy they were, we would wear the heck out of them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you grew out of it, but the shoe was still wearable, your next sibling would wear the same shoes. Isn't that right, Leslie?
Yep.
You said it was the same with your family?
With my mom, yes. We grew up here, but
cool.
Her and her family grew up in Guatemala. So, yeah, they're very aware of how the poverty is in Guatemala. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Same. It's very similar.
Yeah, throughout Latin America, unfortunately, there's a lot of poverty. And yes, we suffered financial poverty as a consequence of mental poverty.
Right.
And the mental poverty was inherited from generations.
Mm-hmm.
All the generations that I know from both of my parents goes back to people living in the farm with no education.
Yes.
When it comes to my great-grandparents, they never even went to school.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they heard about school, but they never even stepped in school. They grew up in the field.
Mm.
And so, and life was very humble. And as they started coming to the city with the hopes to change their lives, they weren't able to get to school because they were so poor that my own mother, she started working when she was 11. So she never finished elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
When she was 11 years old, she started going to the houses of my grandma's clients, and she was cleaning to help pay the bills and to help bring the very basic foods for themselves. When my mom was 13 or 14, she met my dad. When she was 16, she got married to my dad.
Wow.
Both because of love and because two poor broke kids together, they could help each other better.
Mm-hmm.
And the good thing that happened, or maybe the bad thing, I'm not going to say a bad thing, is that I came to the world a year later. I was born when my mom was 17.
Wow.
And my mom didn't stop there. She went on to have 3 other kids. So by the time she was 24, they had 4 young kids.
Wow.
No high school education, and trying to make a living. No home. They were living with my my grandparents. And so another thing I told you guys is that because of that, I never saw my parents that much. My mom was always working, and my dad was working in 2 jobs. He used to work during the day, would get home, eat something, and would leave and work through the night.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I would see him. I would normally see him with red eyes, stressed.
Yes.
And I count. It makes it even emotional, but I count. It's countless the amount of times I saw him laying on the tile floor in the living room
Mm-hmm.
as an attempt to spend time with us.
Oh.
But he would fall asleep
Oh.
on the tile,
Mhm.
cold floor.
Wow.
And me as a kid, sometimes I would grab his arm and say, "Let's go to bed."
Wow.
And I would carry him to bed. And now I understand more about depression, but my parents were depressed.
Mm-hmm.
They were very depressed in that situation. They were not depressed people. They didn't have depression. They were living depressed moments.
Absolutely.
And it was very difficult for them.
Yes. Absolutely. I can relate totally because growing up, we were not wealthy by any stretch of the imagination. I remember my mother going to the DI to shop for us for clothing and school supplies for the year and finding the cheapest shoes. And she would actually take bigger clothes and cut them down and make smaller dresses or pants for us from bigger size things so that they would look newer, but totally make over and pass down things from one sibling to the next to wear. Absolutely. So I can totally relate growing up in that mindset. And a lot of people are not educated about finances. In fact, I've actually read in a study that 99% of the entire globe does not get financial education. And so it creates this depression in their own mental ability to know how to go and do these things. So education is everything. Teaching people not only about their finances, but the mindset behind it. The mindset of building and growing and saving instead of spending, and being able to make a better income for yourself. So continue on and tell us a little bit more as you grew up. Kind of tell me what started to change in you as you saw that. What age were you when you wanted to start changing that for your life?
The first time I decided I wanted to change, I actually did that by asking my parents. I was very innocent and asked them, if money is the problem of everything, why don't we just make more money? Why don't you guys make more money? Why don't you get a better job?
Seems simple, like a simple question.
And their answer was like, because we didn't go to school. So if you don't want to be like us, you go to school.
I see.
In order to be someone in life, you need to go to school.
Education.
Yes. And that helped to create one of the worst traumas that I carried for a long time. Emotional trauma. And I'll tell you why. I put in my brain that in order to be someone of a value in life, I needed a diploma.
Oh, wow.
By the time I was 14, I started working in a metal company to help my parents and have a profession. Because here's the thing. We were in public schools in Brazil, and public schools were they were hard.
Mm-hmm.
A public school normally does not prepare you to get through the national tests so you can get scholarships.
Yeah.
Paying for college was not an option. It was too expensive.
Right.
So we had to pass the test to get scholarships. But I knew that I firmly believed, and this is sad, that I was not good enough to pass those tests. And I proved myself right. When the time came and I did those tests, I got scores so bad you wouldn't believe it. And the reason why is because the 2 last years of high school, instead of being in school, I was working in the morning in a metal company.
Yes.
In the afternoon, I was going to a metal company school. Then I was going to seminary. Then I was doing high school from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m.
Wow.
So I would leave home 6:30 and I would get back at midnight.
Mm-hmm.
And normally in high school, I was either my biggest motivation to go to high school was dinner,
Oh,
because they served food in the school.
yes.
I would go, I would eat dinner, and after I had a long day of work, you eat dinner,
Mm-hmm.
I would sleep in class.
Yes.
And the goal was just, I just need to get A's or B's. I just need to pass. Just need to pass this, because this is going to be something I'm going to need to get to school. Because I need to get to school because I need the diploma.
Yes.
That was the mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I passed college, not ready to pass the university tests,
Mm-hmm.
and didn't get to college. And I couldn't afford college, private schools. And so I never went to school. I went in, what happened, I decided to serve an LDS mission, and the church sent me to Los Angeles. It was a great blessing. Because in Los Angeles, it was the first time that I met business owners. And I remember having dinner with Brother Palmer in Manhattan Beach, a former entrepreneur, retired. And I remember how shocked I was when he told me that he came from poverty and he was rich. Because growing up, I learned that the poor gets poorer,
Mm-hmm.
that we don't open a business because we have no money,
Mm-hmm.
and that we go to church because Jesus needs to comfort us so we can bear the load of living in poverty.
Wow.
And then out of the sudden, I'm in U.S., Manhattan Beach, sitting with a millionaire, and he tells me, no, I was born poor. I was 21 years old the first time I heard that a poor person can indeed change their lives. And that touched me so deeply that I started praying for that. So I went back and I opened an English school, and I started growing until but I didn't know how to sell. I knew nothing about business.
Mm-hmm.
I knew nothing at all.
Right.
And but I was a good teacher. I've always been a good teacher. So I started having students because they loved me. But when I tried to replicate my business, I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
So one day, an executive in one of those companies asked me to be a marketing director. I was shocked.
Very good.
I went to the interview. I was going to make 3 times more than I was doing as an English teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Went through the interview. She loved me. She's like, I love the way you talk. I love the way you present yourself. I've been watching you. Because my little English school,
Mm-hmm.
the way I started making money is I started teaching English inside the international companies to their employees.
Wow.
So I was always inside those companies, and I was watching and I was teaching. And some of them, they spoke fluent English, so they just wanted to practice.
Mm-hmm.
And I would ask them to teach me about the corporate world in English. And I would correct their grammar. It was fun.
Very good.
Finally, the day came for the interview. They loved me, and they said, yeah, we want you to start. I was like, I definitely want to start. Then they asked that question. They asked that question that made me hate life again. Oh, just tell me real quick, what did you graduate in? What's your diploma?
Oh.
I was like, no, I got no diploma. And then I saw her face changing. Like, she was sad. She was like, Anderson, you got nothing? Like, business administration, biology, anything. I just need to put in the system. Do you have a freaking paper?
Oh.
And I was like,
Painful.
No, I don't. So I was like, in that case, I can't hire you.
Oh.
So again, it came back what I learned from my parents. We're suffering because we don't have a diploma, and you will suffer because you don't have a diploma.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be nothing without a diploma. You're not someone without a diploma.
Hmm.
So instead of learning about business and trying to grow with my family,
Mm-hmm.
my brain was again studying what would be the quickest way to get a reputable diploma.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer was 2 years college in Brazil was nothing. It meant nothing. It was just like high school diploma.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, what if I do 2 years college in Utah and I come back because Utah's very cheap, then I'll be set. I immediately sold everything. And all the money I had paid for the tickets to get here only.
Oh, wow.
I got here with zero. No money for tuition, no money for living, my ex-wife and I. And I had to start over. So I did cleaning at a truck company here to start my life.
Uh-huh.
And I was getting paid $5 an hour in 2015
Oh, my goodness.
to work at night because I trusted the person. But that's the average of what I was getting paid. So much so that this person later met me, cried, and said, "I'm sorry for what I was doing to you."
Oh, my goodness.
But that's how life started. But that was very important. Let me tell you why. That was good to me. I can't believe I'm saying this. But that was good to me because I worked for 3 months overnight getting paid $5 an hour. And I prayed so hard for an opportunity. Finally, someone hired me as a helper of a painter to get paid $10 an hour and to work during the day. That meant I would have my sleep back.
Wow.
I can't wait.
Yes.
November 1st was the day that I was on I-15. Beautiful morning. It was sunny, but it was snowing at the same time. I was the most grateful construction worker at $10 an hour that you would have ever known. 2016.
Wow.
I was so thankful for that I learned it so quick. In 3 months, I was looking for my own clients. Because I always had the entrepreneur spirit. Not because I wanted to open my business, because I was studying what is the quickest way for me to save money for tuition. It was quick math. Well, I'm making $400 a week. I need to start making $800. If I paint 2 walls, if I paint 2 houses, I can do that. Right? That's it. So now I'm just going on my own.
Yes.
And that was just a boy from poverty painting houses. That was not a businessman.
Right.
And life went on, and I kept seeking money to be able to pay for tuition. I did everything. I did painting, and then I started doing carpentry, and then someone said that there was money in drywall. I did drywall, then I did tile, then I did exterior painting, and I was always like this.
Wow.
I was not designing my life. I was just hunting money somewhere.
Yes.
And I finally saved enough money to pay for tuition in Zion College in 2018.
My goodness.
I did 1 semester, and then my life started going to the worst point of my life ever, which is the main reason why I share public speaking today. I did 1 semester. In the second semester, my daughter was born with the umbilical cord got wrapped around her neck, so she was in NICU for 10 days. She's perfectly fine now.
Oh, good.
She's amazing.
Good.
She's fine.
Wonderful.
But that caused a lot of stress. When I was in college, I had 5 employees already.
Wow.
In 3 years.
Nice.
I was doing a big commercial project, and I was sitting with those 20 years old boys learning about business management. And I remember one specific class where the name of the class was College 101.
Okay.
You know what they were teaching?
How to pick up a pencil or a pen?
Almost.
To take
You
notes?
almost got it. No, they were that specific day. My phone was ringing, supplier, truck delivery, employees, and they were teaching. Let's talk a little bit about the abbreviations in school. What does LBR mean? Library.
Gosh, are you kidding me?
I remember thinking,
What?
that's it? That's what everyone's been talking about? That's why my parents were in misery? Because they didn't go through this crap to get a piece of paper.
That you're spending a lot of money on.
And I'm paying for this?
Yes.
Then I
Yes.
started asking, all right, let's see. People, my friends, you who are graduated, how much money are you making? That's when I realized that some of them, fresh out of college, were making less money than I was already making.
Right. Right.
With that little piece of paper that they're demanding.
I dropped college right away.
And then from college, tell me, so you were already had 5 employees. You were already building a business. Was that Anderson at the time?
So that was Anderson's remodeling already.
Okay.
Yes, that was 2018. Then the end of 2018, I was during this period where all this was happening. My daughter was born with a little problem.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I cut my finger a little piece off.
Mm.
And then one day, and I was doing 12 credits. So I was running a business. I was so stressed. One day I had a bad headache, lost sight on my right eye.
Wow.
3 months going through all the exams, finally found out I got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis.
Really?
Yeah. And the doctor said, dude, you can't stress yourself no more. That life is over. You need to take care of your body.
Mm-hmm.
So beginning of 2019, worst year of my life. I dropped out of college. My daughter was a tiny little baby, cutest thing ever.
Yes.
I was illegal. My visa had expired
Wow.
because I wasn't able to keep it,
Mhm.
so I couldn't really grow.
Wow.
Everything was falling down, and I decided to try to open a coaching business. I was like, I'm good with people. Construction is stressing me out. It's not healthy. So I'm just going to open a construction business. A coaching business. I had saved $25,000, but all that money into it, 4 months into it, it went down.
Oh no.
Because I was doing it out of despair, so I didn't have the patience.
Mhm.
It went down. I failed miserably, and I didn't want to go back to construction because I was feeling like a failure. So I lost all my savings. Out of the sudden, I have multiple sclerosis. My marriage started sinking really bad. And all I asked for was, let me bring my mother. So I brought my mom. So it was like, everything is happening, but when my mom is around. She was coming for the second time just to spend some time and help with my emotional. She got to Las Vegas. They deported her and banned her for 5 years.
No.
Yeah, they banned her for 5 years. And then I got lost. And my ex-wife too. You were like, God, what have we done?
Right.
Since I was born, I'm just trying to relieve my family.
Mhm.
And it seems like things are getting worse and worse. So I was illegal. That meant I couldn't leave the U.S. ever. If I left, I would be banned for 10 years.
Mhm.
My mom got deported. I never knew when I was going to see her again.
Right.
And my wife and I, we became toxic for each other because of the emotional condition we were. So we went through a divorce. So I got divorced.
Wow.
And so beginning of 2020, that's where I was. I was a DoorDash driver.
Okay.
I had just been divorced. My daughter was 11 months. I used to see my little bundle of joy every day.
Mm-hmm.
But now I got that taken away from me for my own decision. DOPL, the Department of Occupational and Professional Licensing, had already fined me 3 times and told me that the next time I was going to go to jail if I continued working without a license.
Oh my goodness.
So I couldn't run a business. I couldn't get a job. I had multiple sclerosis. My medication was expensive. Now I had to pay child support. And then I was fishing one day, and I remember telling God, I never thought about dying, but I really don't want to live anymore. I really don't. I've did everything for my daughter, for my parents, for my siblings, for my cousins, for everyone who is struggling in poverty, who don't even have money for the basic health plan. I've given my all. I never meant to leave my country and lock myself in U.S. away from my culture, my family, my friends. I would never leave all my treasures because here in U.S. you have a better car.
Yeah.
So I was in a very dark position.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And for the first time, I remember asking myself, what could go wrong if I died? If I took my own life? Okay, my daughter is going to miss me, but she doesn't deserve a broken daddy. She'll deal with it. Her mom will find a good man. My mom is going to miss me. Everyone's going to miss me. But time heals everything.
Wow.
They don't deserve dealing with someone so broken. someone who has tried so many times. And this is the clear vision. I remember looking at Utah Lake and asking God, give me one reason why I shouldn't go. Just one that makes sense to me. Because all the reasons I've gone through,
Mm-hmm.
I would rather not have this pain. And out of the sudden, I have this thought. I like to call it a vision in my own brain. I didn't see anything, but it was a strong thought where I pictured myself in 100 years later in heaven when my daughter finally passed away from an old age and beautiful life. And I pictured us meeting again. Pictured her running towards me and giving me a hug and saying, Daddy, finally. And I would say, I missed you so much.
Oh.
I love you too, but Daddy, why did you leave me?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, what would I say? I know what I would say. I would say, because I was broken. I was feeling an enormous pain because I wasn't able to provide for you and for our family. And then in my thought, I pictured my daughter looking in my eyes and saying, but Daddy, didn't you see all those 10 months waking me up every day? What really made me happy? It was just you.
Mm-hmm.
Just you.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I understood that because I love my daughter and my family so much, I want the best for them. I knew what was the best gift I could give to them.
Yes.
It was the gift of my presence.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I was broke,
Mm-hmm.
unhealthy, just being there.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I came from that dark moment. Then I caught a catfish. I hate catfish. But I came back from that dark moment thinking, all right, I'm going to stay. But if I'm going to stay, I need to stay well.
Yes.
Can't be crying around. I might be broke. I might be poor forever. I need to be happy.
Yes.
So I made a promise that I would work on being happy. And what I did is, as I was doing deliveries, I started listening to books after books.
Yes.
Tony Robbins, Stephen Covey,
Yes.
The Richest Man in Babylon.
Yes.
I went through more than 30 books. And I noticed a pattern. I noticed that I was not the only one who once was so low that didn't want to live anymore, number one. Number two, I noticed a big connection with very successful people, which was being in your low, being extremely broke, doesn't mean that you're nothing. And not having a diploma doesn't mean you're nothing.
Right.
If they were there and they made it out of there, I think there's hope for me.
Yes.
Maybe I can become someone.
Yes.
You know what? At this time, I renounce my old self.
Yes.
I'm going to forget about everything I ever believed. Oh, sorry. The reason why I renounced my old self was because I noticed a third pattern. So first pattern was that they all had been broken.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Second pattern was that they all could be wealthy. And the third pattern was, oh gosh, I forgot my thought. Oh, the third pattern was that they all described my parents. Because when they were talking about wealth, they would always say, this is how the wealthy person thinks, and this is how the broke person thinks. And in several different books, different authors, different stories, when they would describe a broke person, they would describe thoughts, beliefs, and habits that happened within my home. I was like, those people know me.
Yes, exactly.
Those people know me. And they are right. That's exactly how we thought. I'm going to start believing in them. And that's when I renounced my old self, my old beliefs. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to do as they say. And what are the things that they say? They all talk about vision.
Mm-hmm.
Spending time in the future. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Because if you don't know what you're gonna eat tomorrow, why you're gonna be dreaming? Dreams never paid my bills.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're talking about it, all right, I'm gonna start visualizing. I'm gonna start writing plans. I'm gonna start designing the type of life I want.
Absolutely.
Number two, I'm gonna be surrounded by good people who make me feel good,
Mm-hmm.
not negative people. So vision and the influence of good people. Number 3, I'm going to be positive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to doubt my doubts first. Whenever I have an idea, before going off on why this idea is not going to work, I'll promise myself that I'm going to see the glass half full first.
Absolutely.
Number 4, I'm going to just copy. If people did it, why can't I? Now, the word copy might sound awful to someone, but what all it means is like, find someone who is exactly what you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And just do it like them. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. And if they did it, you can do it too.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I had the vision, and I just found someone who was living my vision.
Yes.
And I just copied them. Like little kids, how do we learn to walk, to speak, to see? You just copy.
That's right.
We're still little kids in a way.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I call copy.
Mm-hmm.
And number 5, maybe one of the most important ones, I call it GPS. You're following the GPS, then you miss a turn.
Mm-hmm.
Leslie, do you remember the last time that you missed a turn and your GPS said, Leslie, if you miss another turn, I'm not going to tell you again where to go?
Last weekend.
Do you remember your GPS always telling you, I'm tired of you. You're stupid.
No.
No.
What does the GPS do?
Reroute.
Give you another route.
Reroutes.
Mm-hmm.
A GPS never gives up on you. It doesn't matter how often you miss the turn.
Mm-hmm.
Just reroute it. You're going to make mistakes. Stay positive. Just reroute it. Learn repetition. Learn discipline. Reroute and reroute and reroute and reroute.
That was last weekend. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I drove to Los Angeles and they closed the 15 both ways. And so it was a constant detour trying to get to Los Angeles from here.
And the GPS didn't give up on you.
Never.
That's awesome.
It was a long way around, but we finally made it. Yeah.
You missed your turn, Leslie. Now you're just doomed.
Yeah.
So those 5 principles that I told you, they describe the 5 muscles of the mindset growth, and that's the book I'm writing.
Oh, okay.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
The 5 muscles of the mindset growth. So I learned about those principles, and those were the main things that helped me to get to where I am today. So before, I used to be a painter, covered in paint, struggled to pay bills.
Mm-hmm.
Today, I am so far from where I want to be, but I'm so far from where I started. I have this office, I have 2 assistants, I have many people working for me, and I had to overcome several beliefs in order to become who I am today in only 4 years. And why I say only 4? Because the other 15, I was just spinning around and stuck and never had a real progress.
Yeah.
Right.
And as the minute that my mindset changed, I was able to overcome. So, another thing that I love telling is that the first time I sold over $1 million, I was still an illegal immigrant.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It was just my mind the whole time.
Right.
And that is my story. So today, of course, I want to continue to make the construction business grow. I'm going to talk a lot in my book about this process from the moment where I decided to stay until where I am today. It wasn't just, oh, here we go, now I'm a millionaire. No. It takes a lot of work to build a $1 million company.
Mm-hmm.
And little by little, I was able to do it, but everything evolved around my mental. For instance, I'll just, I know I'm extending myself too much, but let me just tell you one principle about sales. As I started to grow, as I started to believe, the first roadblock I encountered was I used to sell like my family. Remember, my family used to walk for hours looking for the cheapest in everything they did. So I thought that people would only hire me if I was the cheapest. And I had to overcome that.
Mm-hmm.
I never knew what it meant to be someone so wealthy that you hire quality, not price.
That's right.
And so I was like, all right, so I need to stop. Number one, who If I'm selling bathrooms at 10,000 and I don't close, those guys are selling bathrooms at 30,000. They're closing. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why are they doing it? And I can't. And it didn't make sense to me. It's like, I'm cheaper in my country.
That's right.
I would win, but
Yes.
I'm losing. Why?
Yes.
And that's where I learned the copy muscles. Like, just copy them. So I started paying attention to the way they present themselves online, the way they talk,
Mm-hmm.
and everything. I just copied everything with the firm self-confidence and belief that if they did it, I can do it too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how life changed. So again, mental blocks.
That is absolutely right.
Yeah.
And I'd like to kind of touch on that GPS story. When we make mistakes, you know, if you talk to any successful person,
Get a little close to the mic. Perfect.
anytime you talk to a very successful person, their storyline is not an arrow pointing straight up to success. Their storyline is a very curvy, loopy, mistakes up and down, dropping to the bottom, rising back up. And it's that GPS. And Gary Acevedo helps people with breakthroughs in their lifetime. He's just an amazing person. I'd like to actually introduce him to you someday. But he said there's more success in analyzing your successes than your failures. But people, in a general sense, often will only analyze their failures and just shut down because of those failures. But with GPS, reroute. Wow, that was a good way for me to learn not to do that next time. Instead of, oh my gosh, I'm terrible, I can't fix that. That's just, I'm set back at 10 years. No, it's just rerouting it. And Thomas Edison was like, when he was inventing the light bulb, he was like, I found 9,999 ways not to make a light bulb. So now I'm one step closer to getting the right thing that will actually light up for hours for people, you know? And so I love that point that you made about GPS. And also another thing that Gary taught me was if we stop criticizing ourselves and hang up the phone, is what he likes to say. Hang up the phone anytime you start putting yourself down. Instead, just say, okay, what can I do next? What's the next step? And instead of ruminating in that negative area, we're always looking for a positive, a gratitude area of, that was great. I learned a lesson. Fantastic. Let's go. So I really appreciated you making that last point. And so when you made that switch and you saw that vision and started building Anderson, tell me a little bit about your process so far and what got you to that million, you know.
I think the first thing was having the vision and understanding the type of company I wanted to become. Because you can't copy what you don't know, what you don't even know. And so, or you can mimic something that you don't even know. So I needed to understand, what do I want? And what I wanted was I want to be able to scale. And I'm not going to be able to scale if I'm on the job site. And I remember the first struggles, mental struggles, like, oh, how am I going to convince a good professional to work for me? Because in my mind, people looked at me and be like, why am I going to work for you? Who are you? You got nothing. You don't have a company. I'm going to go work for a big builder.
Yes.
I remember thinking, an American is never going to work for me. I think it's humiliating for them to work for me.
Wow.
And I had to overcome that. I remember the first time a client asked me to hire other contractors for them. And so I was getting bids of a few electricians. One electrician came into the house and was like, what do you need? I was like, I need to do this chandelier. I was like, and this was his reaction. That's going to be so expensive. We've done it, but it's going to be costly. I was like, okay, yeah, just give me a cost. Have you done it before? Yeah. Do you have the money? I'll send you the bill. I was like, okay, just send me the bill. Okay, bye. And then another one came in, an American. And race doesn't matter, but that was the case. This guy comes in and he's like, what do you want to do? I want to replace that tall chandelier. Oh, that's easy. We've done it so many times. It's going to look really good. We can help you.
Awesome.
So this guy who was positive, he charged me $5,000. The guy who acted negative, he charged me $3,500. Guess who I hired?
Absolutely. The one that can be done.
I hired the one that was more expensive, and I couldn't believe myself. I was like, Anderson, you just lost $1,500. Why did you do this to yourself? And I was like, because of the way he made me feel. He made me feel that he really could get it done. He was positive about it, and that was a powerful lesson. I learned that I needed to be positive and I needed to help clients feel good. Because when I learned that I had to increase my costs by at least twice, I was negative about it. I was going to people's homes and being like, okay, this is not going to be 10,000. This is going to be 20,000. Have you done your research? This is very expensive. Can you even afford it?
Oh my goodness.
It was annoying.
Yes.
Why? Because I was an annoying person that grew up in poverty, and all I thought about money. But when I learned that lesson, I would come in and be like, what do you want to do? I want to do all of this. Like, wow, we've done this so many times. You know, this is going to turn out so beautiful. I'm excited for you guys. I love your taste. We've done this so many times. It's so easy to do. We can do this very quick. This is going to be between 30 or 50,000, and it's going to look amazing. Then they close with me. Then at the end of the job, I would ask them, hey, why did you choose me? Knowing that I was one of the highest bids. And their answer was the same. Because of the way you made me feel.
Absolutely.
That's it. So feelings. Feelings were and are the main thing. Even today, I'm not doing $2 million a year in sales. And I know that I want to be doing at least 30. And there is a little part of my brain that tells me, it's a lot of work. I've learned to shut the heck out of that side of the brain.
Good.
Like, it doesn't matter if it's a lot of work. I'm not trying to be something that doesn't exist. I'm not Elon Musk trying to go to Mars for the first time.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to do things that other people are doing. And if they did it, why can't I?
Yes.
You have to get rid of that doubt.
There you go. Leslie said everything. So that was my process. Working through self-doubts. Working through my traumas. And here's another thing. To this day, many people know the importance of saving money, right? I used to be like that. I used to be very like this. I used to save money. I used to count my cents. And now I'm a little in extreme, but I had a dream one day where I really just wanted to be able to eat wherever I wanted without looking at the bill. That dream came true. I eat at restaurants every day. And I only look at the bill if I notice that the waiter didn't pay attention. But I don't care about the cost anymore. Because the minute I stopped being a stingy person, the minute I start my feelings towards money, it's like, oh, I have to keep money because money is so hard to come. I was like, no, gosh, we live in an abundant world. That's right. I started giving more to church. I started giving more to my family, to my friends. Yes. And my wife even tells me, you could be so much better. I was like, maybe I could have a few more thousands in my bank account, but I don't think I would have done the millions I did.
You wouldn't feel that happiness.
Yes, and I wouldn't have done, because the way you feel about yourself and about money and about life, that's what brings the money to you. True. And that made a big difference. I stopped being cheap and stingy, and I started becoming abundant in the way that I spend. I remember apple in Brazil is quality. And here I would never buy apple because it was too expensive.
Yes.
When I changed my mind, first thing I did, I bought everything Apple. New iPad, new phone, Apple Watch, AirPods, as a symbol to me. My world, my knowledge of best and quality, which was Apple. I know many people hate Apple, but for me, that meant abundance. And I bought it. And I accepted it. And it's been great and changed my life.
Wonderful.
That's awesome.
I've definitely experienced the same thing. I want to be the one as well to take the bill when I'm eating with friends. I want to be the one, and Leslie's very giving herself as well. But to say I've got it. You know, you need this wheelchair, I've got it. No worries. You need a roof replaced, you need a surgery, I've got it. And having that abundance mindset is huge in bringing that money to you, because you're giving and you have that energy about you, and it comes down to gratitude, for sure. That's another common thing that these leaders that you've written books about, they have a lot of gratitude in their life every day for what they have, for sure. So it's been a delight to talk to you today. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I've enjoyed it so much, and I have things that I can take away from today and make my life better as well. So thank you so much for being here with us and your time.
Well, it's my pleasure. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you, Erica.
Can't wait for the book.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
And the book it's a GPS
Okay.
type
Nice.
of thing where I'm so busy. I need to be working on it little by little and never give up.
Yeah.
That's right.
So there are days I write more than others. It's been a pleasure. I can't wait to hear your stories. Thank you for giving me that challenge. I hadn't talked about my story in a while, and it made me ponder about a lot of things. Thank you again.
Of course,
It's
you're
very
welcome.
inspiring.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
And this was one more episode from the Go Big Mentality podcast. Thank you, everyone.